Welcome to the final episode of the Colorado Expedition. Over the past few weeks, we've covered almost 5,000 miles, venturing from Connecticut to Colorado, and exploring the assortment of environments the Rocky Mountain State has to offer. From dry deserts with canyons to rushing rivers and pine-filled mountains, our experience has certainly been one for the books. But it is here, at the end of our journey, that both our adventurous spirits and morality will be tested. This series of Varsity Overland is supported by Diodynamics, Rollercam, Rocky Talkie Mountain Radio, and F&F Specialty Vehicles, Connecticut's premier vehicle outfitter.
This is why it's important to stop and go to the bathroom every chance you can, and also make sure you have plenty of gas, even if you feel like you don't need it, because you'll never know when you're parked at a railroad crossing to watch a train drive by for 20 minutes just so that the caboose can stop right in front of you.
Our plan for today was to visit the Rocky Mountain National Park, but unfortunately, we didn't realize it's the only park in the US that requires reservations to be made 24 hours in advance. So instead, we ventured into the mountains just outside of the town of Grand Lake to search for our next campsite. This area of the national forest was devastated by a wildfire in 2020, started by human causes. And thanks to our dog Pepper, we were reminded yet again why it's important to check your surroundings at camp.
So it's about 6:30 here in the burnt forest. Just woke up, got out of the tent, already getting swarmed by mosquitoes. And we ended up getting a storm last night. Some rain and thunder came rolling over the mountains just behind us around 9 o'clock and continued for a few hours. I'm very thankful that the tent is a hard shell rooftop tent, because it diverted a lot of the wind, but it was still noisy, and I think I ended up falling asleep around like 2 a.m. It is day 16, and I am definitely getting ready to be home. I'm missing my bed, missing the comfort of being able to just chill out on the couch, not be wet, not be cold. Still beautiful. Still a really nice place. But I'm also just about ready for it to be over. And I am very thankful for this roller cam strap, which was the only thing securing my cargo box to the top of this rack last night during the storm. Not only did I forget to attach the latch that I use on the side, but I also in my hurry to get up into the tent because of all the mosquitoes, I also forgot to even secure the lid. So the lid is completely separate right now. The only thing that I have on here is this roller cam strap, still kind of loose because I was trying to fish my hand in here last night just to grab what I needed really quick so we could run up inside the tent. But even with the wind, the roller cam strap was able to keep not only the lid on, but the box in place. So we just packed up in such a hurry. We're just trying to get away from all these mosquitoes. I'm wearing my new Colorado shirt that I picked up while we're here on the road, trying to keep my morale high, trying to feel like it's not all as terrible as I made it out to be. The sun is shining, so it is nice. I could do without the bugs. This is not something that we're, new to. We are familiar with being on the road for a long period of time. In fact, we've done a trip at least twice this long. We're at the end of our second week now, and we did a trip in 2021 that was 5 weeks. So there's just something a little different about this trip. It's feeling a little exhausting. There's rain on the forecast still, unfortunately, today, despite the sun being out right now. So we're gonna get out of here, head into the park, hopefully enjoy some of that before more rain comes down.
The next day, we learned of 2 bison preserves just outside of Denver that protect the last remaining bison in Colorado. Seeing as how these giant hairy cows happen to be my favorite animal, we had no choice but to investigate.
So we just had an experience. Crossed over the border from Colorado into Kansas, heading back to the East Coast. And on one of the interstates, we were stopped by a giant white dog in the middle of the road. Nobody was claiming it. It looked like it was hot. It looked like it didn't know where it was. It was kind of confused, and obviously it's in the middle of the road. So Michelle and I pull over, and we try to coax the dog out of the road. Luckily, a tractor trailer truck was coming and happened to slow down and stop traffic right in front of the dog to help us. Michelle put down a bowl of water. We kept Pepper in the truck, obviously. We didn't know how that was going to turn out. But we put down a bowl of water. We were able to coax the dog over to us. Then Michelle calls the local police department. And what did they say?
They said, this is a frequent flyer, and if you go under the underpass that was ahead of us, it turns into a dirt road, and that dog belongs to the farmhouse that's on the left.
So instead of telling us how to help the dog, or sending out like an animal control, or contacting the family or anything like that, the woman, what did she say?
She said, I know this sounds bad, but just let it go. It'll find its way home.
Let it go. Because we nearly hit the dog in the middle of the road on this busy interstate. Just let it go.
Let it go.
What? No way.
We did not let it go.
We did not let it go. We ended up very cautiously and calmly. I leashed the dog and walked the dog under the underpass, basically in the direction that we thought the officer was telling us to go. And while I was walking, you could very obviously see the dog's footprints in the mud from where it came from, because the dog was just covered in mud. So we brought it back to the dirt road, we brought it back to its property, we were able to get it back to where it belonged. Very sweet dog. In these situations, you want to do the right thing, but you also need to be very careful, because dogs can react in very unpredictable ways. If there was any inkling that the dog was going to be aggressive, or that we could put the dog in more danger, we just would have had to kind of let it go. But the dog was very calm, very sweet, and just looked really tired, to be honest. So got it back where it belonged, and now we have a story that we can share with you and with everybody else once we get back home. We thought that the drive home, you always think that the drive home from your trip is going to be boring, but it's not. There's always something that keeps it interesting, I guess. Well, it is the end of the Colorado expedition. This is day 18 of the trip, and we crossed over from Colorado into Kansas earlier this morning. We are at a campsite that we chose in a campground. Beautiful campground. Look at this site. Of all of the dispersed wild camping sites that we used, we actually found that some of the best sites were in campgrounds, ironically. And that kind of plays along with an idea or a thought that I have about this trip. I've learned a lot during this trip, and one of the biggest things that I learned was I shouldn't let the stigma of campground use kind of like ruin an overland experience. People can adventure any way they want to, and to limit the use of campgrounds because it's not going to be considered true overlanding is definitely kind of silly. Some of the best spots that we got, like I just said, are from campgrounds. And honestly, it makes the whole situation safer. It makes it a heck of a lot less stressful. I mean, there were some times when we were driving for hours and hours and hours just to arrive at a dispersed site that we had hoped to use and found that it was taken, or that the trail was a little more hairy than we expected it to be. So I've definitely learned to kind of swallow my pride a little bit and just say, the use of campgrounds is completely legitimate. Also, when you use a campground and you reserve your spot, you get to do something that you can't do at dispersed sites, which is actually interact with other people around you. And we actually met some pretty cool people. And when you do use those campgrounds, you bring in money to those areas, and you're able to fund either small businesses like those campground owners, or you bring money to the national forest. So this will be the end of our Colorado expedition. We do plan on leaving this campsite in the morning pretty early, and probably trying to make 1 or 2 really long drives. In fact, I think we're going to try to do 2 10-hour days just to get back to the East Coast as fast as possible. So, with that being said, appreciate you sticking around. Appreciate you following along on the journey. If you haven't seen all of the other Colorado expedition videos, please go to the YouTube channel and give them all a watch, a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so that you can see more of these extended expedition type adventures, or just some of our product reviews. I'm definitely going to have a lot to say about the products we've been using on this trip, so look for a couple upcoming videos to see how we might have to change things around, because I learned a lot about myself, but we also learned a lot about the vehicle and how we can make improvements. Thanks for sticking around and watching everything, and I hope to see you on the next adventure.
Thank you so much for watching and joining us on this adventure. We appreciate your interest, as well as the support from companies who help make these videos possible.